our next guest. And our next guest is somebody who I have had the pleasure of interviewing before. He has created a digital software solution for visitor attractions for museums and for other experience-led enterprises. It's an experiential app for visitors, and it shows how software can be used to show off pretty much any business. And his journey to getting there was a very, very interesting one indeed. Ivan Toohey of Great Visitor Experiences, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm very good, Jonathan, and I don't have any video or any slides to share, so you have to look at my mug now for next week.
Unfortunately, our apologies to the people watching at home. Unfortunately, we're stuck with the two of us. There's not much going for us, but we'll persevere. We'll persevere, Ivan. Tell us a little bit. I didn't do justice there. Tell us a little bit about Great Visitor Experiences and what you do.
I suppose in simple terms, we're a software company with a very narrow focus. So we only focus on visitor attractions, museums, and those leisure activities that visitors would partake in when they're here on holidays. And we have a couple of simple tools. We say simple, but they're quite smart, I suppose. But from the customer-facing point of view, it's what we call an experiential app that's Android and iOS for the visitor. We have a very kind of a technical, smart backend system that we call simply a management software platform for those managers. And then we have a very innovative ticketing solution platform as well. So we've got 3 pillars to our business. And what we've always tried to do is that, from the front side is that, it's very simple, very intuitive, very easy to use. And on the other side, then I suppose there's lots of activity and lots around segmentation and how we actually profile people and look at people from the other side. So it's kind of 2 halves really. It's like we kind of compare ourselves to like a swan, very graceful at the front and very busy underneath.
Before we get to the Great Visitor Experiences, a lot of people will know you from your previous role, because you were a hotel manager or the general manager of the Clarion in Limerick, and people would know that. So you know 1 or 2 things about standards and you know things about service. Is that what led you into this particular career?
Yeah, so I suppose, no, I'm a hotelier by trade, and I suppose I have about 15 years general manager experience behind me, and I was in the Clarion for about 5.5 years as regional manager there. But I suppose when I left the Clarion back, I think in 2015, I joined Shannon Heritage. So people know Shannon Heritage as a semi-state company, the largest commercial visitor attraction operator. So I would be in charge of places like Bunratty Castle and Folk Park in County Clare, King John's Castle here in Limerick, Kinvara Castle in Galway. So there's about 7 properties within the portfolio, and I had 4 properties to look after, about 700,000 visitors. So it's actually really while I was working with Shannon Heritage that I kind of saw a gap in the market. So tourism specifically, I suppose, is that you always see hotels as being atop the pyramid, then maybe restaurants, bars, and then visitor attractions and museums down the lower end. So it's a case of that, we were offering a product to visitors, but we weren't charging a whole lot of money for it. They would come, they would enjoy their day out, but we couldn't connect to them. We couldn't tell them the story beyond what they could see. We didn't understand what they wanted from us, and it was very fragmented. So again, I suppose if we go back to simple terms, they got a map on arrival, they got a very warm hello, they might get an audio guide, and we kind of didn't see them anymore until they left. Yeah. So I suppose the challenge for us was that, as a manager, how can we improve that experience and how can we learn something from those customers? And we kind of didn't do that well in either case.
No. Well, I mean, I'd imagine that the best you got was the equivalent of a tape-a-thon on off with you. And if you were lucky, you'll press the right number for what you're looking at. And it's funny because I've been last year when we could go places. Was it the year before? I can't remember. It was the year before, I think. Yeah. I remember going to the Nou Camp Stadium in Barcelona, which is a fantastic stadium tour. But you have this yoke that you have to try and dial in a number, and then it tells you a very long-winded story, and it's up to your ear, and you're trying to read, and there's another tourist behind you shoving you on, and it's kind of a dissatisfying experience. Whereas in reality, it could have hooked me in, and I could have found out what I was looking at a lot faster. Yeah. Is that what you're trying to do, to try and improve that experience in a way that people will remember?
Yeah, so it's two key things there, I suppose. One, I suppose, is what we call the interactive nature of the content. So traditionally, I suppose, you have a very singular audio guide. So it's all audio and that's it. Or it's all reading some English, or in your case, maybe some Spanish and English on a sign, and it's very small. And again, I suppose you have a lot of these questions. Why is it built here? And who built it? And how long did it take to build? And they're kind of questions you don't get answered. So what we try and do is that we can take all the content you have, put it all into one place, our mobile app, and then we can tell all those stories beyond what you can see. So if you love history, there's more history. If you love pictures, there's more pictures. So you can dip in and dip out. And we kind of say, look, no, be in the moment. We're not going to take away from having a phone up to your face and say, oh, this is me, you know. No, enjoy the moment. But if you want more, we have it there for you. And I also suppose the pre-trip and the post-trip, we can add to that as well with more information. So we kind of say, look, you layer the information up. Some people want more, some less. And what we also find is around the languages, that's a big issue, because if you go around, if you're from Ireland, in Ireland, you don't care. But we find this now, we have so many Germans, French, international visitors, and they go, it was a nice day. And you kind of say, well, what did you enjoy? And it's like, I don't know, it was just a nice day out, because they don't understand what they're seeing or doing.
Yeah, and that gives rise to the next thing that, look, as I'm getting older, I'm getting crankier of it. I think it's just the natural nature of how things go. Yeah, I know, it's how it is. When I'm doing something, if I'm paying an entry fee to go to a big landmark, I kind of expect them to tell me what I'm looking at. Now, in years gone by, I'd have walked around thinking this is delaying me getting to the pub. But as I'm getting older, I'm going, I want to find out when the castle was built. I want to find out why that rampart is called the murder rampart.
Yeah.
And if I don't have a tour guide with me, I'm losing out on that experience. But I am capable of using this. Yeah. And instead of listening to the tour guide telling me about an old bucket that I'm not interested in, I can ignore that and go straight to the murder stone and take something in. So they were missing a trick, these visitor experiences, weren't they? Which is why they were down the bottom of the tier.
They were, and the other side of it is that, most of us go to these places in peak season. So in peak season, you have extra staff, extra tours, extra activity. But if you go in January, February, March, April, you're still paying a premium price, but the experience is far less. So my idea really was to have a minimum base level. So regardless of when you go, who you are, what you do, you have a minimum level of experience, and you can build upwards from there.
Of course, then we move into what happens next, right? So you've already introduced a product that enhances the experience. But I don't know whether you saw Patrick's virtual reality cave, but there's a whole load of opportunity there for the fella who can't necessarily visit St. John's Castle to have a look at St. John's Castle. I mean, is there opportunities in Industry 4.0 that people will be able to use?
Yeah, so one thing that we've done some trials with is around augmented reality, the AR. The VR is a different animal, a different beast. With the AR, you can still use your mobile phone, and you can still be somewhere. And I like the idea of being present and having certain, I suppose, content that is more relevant to where you are. So one thing that we are actually trialing with Feinstein Bookensee, one of our customers, with that, they have two perfect sites for the likes of augmented reality. You kind of walk up a tall tower, you can see the River Shannon across from you. So our idea there with them is that you can see old flying boats actually coming into the harbour, just as it did back in the day. You and I might think of flying boats, they may have had one or two, but back in the day, there could have been 5, 6, 7 of these boats in the lake. It was amazing. So our view there, that you could bring the augmented reality, see these boats landing in the lake, and the river. The other side was that, where they're positioned, you can see the main street of Foynes, and you can overlay what was Foynes looked like back in 1920s and 30s. And I suppose one of the challenges that is there is that a lot of times the likes of AR and VR is on another device. It's built on a freestanding unit, like another app. And one thing that we've done is that, again, once you create the AR content, we have tools now you can actually integrate into our app. So you don't need a separate app for AR. You can use our application for video, voice, audio, AR. And again, it goes back to one single place for all the content. And for us, I suppose, we don't see 4.0 as being destructive. We see it more about improving things. So improving efficiency, improving accuracy, improving the experience, and gathering some good information on your visitors so that you can also just maybe sell them a bit more in a nice way, as opposed to forcefully selling them something.
I suppose the big winner here is the person who owns the experience, because they're getting data. And when you think about it, you think you've created a fantastic user experience, and there's loads of people walking around, but you don't know that they're not looking at the right thing. If you have this configured properly, you're going to realize, well, people spend an extra 15 minutes at this point in the experience. Well, that's where we should put the gift shop, because if they're doing that, and all of a sudden you're creating, I'm sold, Ivan. You have me in here. I'm done.
Yeah, come on the payroll, but that's exactly so. Like, no, as operators, we assume certain things, no, but it's only actually when you kind of walk around at the people because, well, why are they going over there? And you're dead right. We don't realize what people are looking at, so we assume different things. And part of our technology is around the persona. So we don't care about Jonathan or Anthony or Caroline. You know, it's the persona. So what does a French visitor do when they come on your site? Are they much? They're probably, we think maybe much in the castle because they have a lot of castles in France. So, or they give out the houses. So our technology allows us to monitor, once they track, to monitor these people in terms of what they do, what do they engage with. Do they spend 10 minutes in the castle, 15 minutes with the goats? What does that persona do? And then I suppose we understand where they are in terms of location, and we can send them a little push notification, we call nudge technology, say, oh, by the way, you're near the cafe. Would you like a cup of coffee? Like, oh, maybe it's 11 o'clock. Maybe I would. So I suppose we're using that technology to, yes, showcase the experience, but learn where people are going, what to do on site. Can we sell them something in a very gentle nudge way? And then I suppose at the end of their visit, we are very strong in the persona management element. So like we recognize they're French, they're German, they're Italian, they're Irish. Can we discount certain products based on who they are as opposed to what they buy?
Well, I'll tell you, if you discounted something for a Frenchman ahead of me, you'd have me to deal with that the way out, I can tell you. I'm guessing, right, and I don't, maybe you are a fantastic coder, but I'm guessing with your background in hotel management, you mightn't be. So you had to collaborate. And as we were talking about earlier on, that letting others in, that making sure that you finish it by getting in contact with the right people. How difficult was that journey for you in finding the right partner?
Yeah, so in a lot of ways, I don't know much about coding, if anything. As a general manager of a hotel, I suppose one of the traits we have is that we're very good at managing people. You know, we don't do a lot of work ourselves. We tell everybody else what to do and how to do it. So I was at the time, I suppose, that I was coming up with my idea, I suppose I had met the team in LEO, the Clare office there with Padraig and Linda, and I suppose they gave me great support in terms of financially, and I suppose just the backing, say, look, go ahead and do it. So I was doing an MBA at the time in the University of Limerick, and one of the fellow students, I suppose, was a senior engineer with an international company in Ireland. So she actually hooked me up with people she knew, an outsourcing company based in India that do an awful lot of work in Ireland for large companies, and this kind of shocked me. So you think you're going to a company getting work done, but actually it's being outsourced somewhere else. So I've been using an outsourcing company for the last 3 years. I've been over to India a couple of times. They've been here with me. They're on my payroll. They have 400 staff. So I would manage them very well, and they would work with me. So we do all the sales activity, some of the software work here, but we do a lot of the kind of work that's can be done overseas, and that worked very well for us.
And given that, unfortunately, the sector you're in has taken an awful kicking in the last 12 months and is going to take, I hate to say it, but it's probably another 12 months to get back to anything resembling normality. Is there an opportunity there for a clever man such as Ivan to bring people to destinations when they can't actually get them?
So we're making sales. We made a sale yesterday, and we're continuing to make sales. And our product is very COVID friendly. So we didn't like this project started 3 years ago before COVID. And one of the things that we were speaking to customers this time last year was that, oh, Ivan, this is a bit too far ahead of the market. You know, we might do online bookings maybe in a few years' time, but like people using their phones, and no, that's not going to happen. I suppose now with COVID, you know, we have been sprung forward by about 3 years, and now, you know, we did we did an e-sign on Monday to county councillors, when I say CEOs of the county councils, and we did 25 emails, and we got 5 inquiries straight away from county councils. They said, we're not COVID ready, we're not COVID compliant, we can't use our screens in our museums, we can't do this, we can't do that, we kind of need help. We thought COVID would be gone now, but no. So even though we don't sell ourselves as a COVID product, we're very COVID friendly, we're very digitally focused, we don't forget about the customer, so we're very customer focused as well. So we're making sales, and we think we're going to have a good year ahead of us this year.
3 years ago you set this up, right? So you've been on quite the journey for 3 years. You've built your customer base. How confident are you that this is going to translate to other countries? That, you know, here's your business that's spun out of the Midwest. Are you looking at the Midwest in the United States? Are you looking at the Mid-East as moving it out? I mean, how How transferable is this to other markets, and
Yeah.
how geared up are you for that, Ivan?
So we believe that we're very transferable. We had a call this morning with Northern Ireland Tourism Board. We were speaking with the Scottish Tourist Board back in October and November, and that's still ongoing. We did a demo with a company based in Dubai on Thursday. From a ticketing point of view, so that's only kind of over the last 4 days, we've had that kind of interaction. So I suppose our branding is very much around the great visitor experiences. There's visitor experiences everywhere in every part of the world. The area that we focus in, attractions, museums, is the lower in the tree. Nobody really focuses in that area because the bucket is small. So we think we're in a niche area, great domain experience, and we think, we built this to be global, not to be stuck in Bunratty, County Clare.
Well, by the sounds of what you're getting out there, and would you do me a favour, go to the new camp, will you? They have a terrible visitor experience. You need to work at it. Great in some ways.
But would you believe it? We were doing a funding round early last January. It just didn't really happen for us purely because of COVID and tourism. But one of the companies we were talking to was the Silicon Valley Bank, and they were like, Ivan, one of our customers is the new camp. We'll get you in there.
Look,
so it's a small world.
I've given you the idea.